where Donald Trump is greatly escalating the tension here, and even talking about potentially utilizing the military, you know, calling the Insurrection Act, all this stuff. Like, these are unprecedented times. And people will go, oh, don't do anything. Like, don't do anything in retaliation. Like, you're giving into what he wants. And it's like, but he's already doing the chaos. Like, if you think this will lead to unprecedented lawlessness and disorder, well, we're there already. If you're living in Minneapolis, you're experiencing it every day. Your neighbors are afraid to go to work. Your neighbors are afraid to take their children to school. There's a fat Gestapo agent in every corner that's heavily militarized and seemingly has a license to kill. So that is already chaos, lawlessness, and disorder.
You will pet me, whether you like it or not.
Oh my God. I'm always thinking to myself, whenever there's like any sort of geopolitical conflict going on, I think to myself, what will my goat, Kid Starver, say? Because you know he's going to crack the whip, okay? He's going to lay it down. He's going to lay down the law, baby. And I'm always, I can't be alone in this, right? Like, chat, you guys also probably think like, you know, what will Keir Starmer do again? Like, he's such a revolutionary, you know? He's going to come out and he's going to say, I've been monitoring the situation from afar, and I've been waiting on Daddy to tell me what to do. He's a real mover and shaker. Him and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are my three goats, okay? These guys are the real anti-imperialists out there, okay? None of you know. What did you think anti-imperialism was? Tweets? Academic papers? No, you're looking at it, okay? This is real resistance. This is coalition of the willing. This is how you fight back against the American empire, by coming out and not even taking like a stern approach at all, just coming out and having the most lukewarm take that reinforces what everyone knows already, okay? You are, like, I can't even call him Chamberlain. Yeah, exactly. Like, Neville Chamberlain unironically had more motion than Keir Starmer. He is the Lion of London. Exactly. He is the Lion of London. Okay. Oh God, he's so hot and so cool.
Greenland's defense.
He just always has such a good approach to these sorts of things. He'll be like Lion of Londonistan. They'll be like, Mr. Starmer, Israel has killed 100,000 Palestinians. And new reporting shows that, the Royal Air Force was actually providing cover and offering new targets as Israel was conducting a genocide. And be like, we will be looking into this, and we will be issuing a stern warning to the Palestinian babies. Okay, they should not have been under the laser guided munitions if they wanted to survive. Have they thought about not being Palestinian? Is always looking in the he's got a busy job, dude.
Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership, not pressure. That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong.
The French president calling the tariff
Can he do that? Guys, can he say that? Can he say that? Completely wrong. Bro, he's getting real crazy, dude. He's going mental. That's a real mic drop moment from Kid Starver, dude. Wow, he's really done it now. Trump, any moment now, he has begun the process of thinking about issuing a sternly worded letter, a warning. Of course, only thinking about beginning the processes of what might be in that letter. A concept of a plan, if you will.
It's unacceptable. Sweden's prime minister saying we will not let ourselves be blackmailed. Only Denmark and Greenland decide on issues concerning Denmark and Greenland.
Okay, then what should he do? Deny visas to American travelers? Say that you're shutting off the American embassy? Immediately do reciprocal tariffs? Immediately call up Xi Jinping and say, sir, I'm going to commit to much better trade relations with you. You know, there's a bunch of things. Just it, dude. Just go crazy mode. I mean, Trump is going crazy mode. You might as well go crazy mode in retaliation for Trump going crazy mode. Because, like, guys, Donald Trump is talking about invading Europe. Like, that's it. Like, if he's gonna be a freak, you gotta match his freak. You know, desperate times call for desperate measures. Because people will go, oh, well, Hasan, these guys don't want to rock the boat. That means like more instability. You're inviting more instability. America's crazy. And it's like, yeah, exactly. It's kind of the same principle behind like what Trump is doing at the domestic front, right? Where Donald Trump is greatly escalating the tension here and even talking about potentially utilizing the military, you know, calling the Insurrection Act, all this stuff. Like, these are unprecedented times. And people will go, oh, don't do anything. Like, don't do anything in retaliation. Like, you're giving into what he wants. And it's like, but he's already doing the chaos. Like, if you think this will lead to unprecedented lawlessness and disorder, well, we're there already. If you're living in Minneapolis, you're experiencing it every day. Your neighbors are afraid to go to work. Your neighbors are afraid to take their children to school. There's a fat Gestapo agent in every corner that's heavily militarized and seemingly has a license to kill. So that is already chaos, lawlessness, and disorder. So it's here already. So you must fight against it. Like, you must do something, right? Because if you roll over, it's just going to make it easier.
His allies already sending military forces to Greenland to protect against the U.S. Hundreds rallying on the Arctic island over the weekend.
We are not interested in being Americans.
But Trump isn't backing down, adamant.
Every time I hear someone say that, it's funny every time. Every time. Because it's like a fate worse than death is to be American by force. It's true. It's true. I know there's so many patriotic Americans out there who like don't understand this, but like, if you live in a country that has like at least existing social safety nets and stuff, why would you ever want to be under the thumb of America? I mean, look at Puerto Rico. Look at Puerto Rico. Like, look at what has happened to the island of Puerto Rico under the watchful eyes of American ownership. It's so stupid. Like, of course people don't want to lose the benefits of not being American while also still simultaneously being under the security apparatus that America has designed if you're in Europe. Because like, there are plenty of other places in the world where they're like, well, if we're a part of America, then yeah, things are better overall. Right? There are plenty of countries in the world that we have destroyed and dominated that if we were to like bring in to like American statehood, things might be things might get to a market improvement as opposed to where they were, but only because we've destroyed them. But at least for a European country, right? If you are on the European continent, like, you are one of the very few places that America has not like directly destroyed. And therefore, you're like, no, I don't want this. I don't want to ruin things. You know, I don't want to ruin things further here.
That the U.S. needs control of the island as a matter of national security, and he's not ruling out using military force to take it. Greenland and Denmark have already offered to increase security in the region, but the administration says that's not enough.
If there were an attack on Greenland...
A poll in the Netherlands today revealed people are more afraid of Trump than Putin. Imagine that. Oh my God. Finally, dude. Finally, people are like waking up. Oh my God. This isn't to say that Vladimir Putin is not a threat, by the way, but like, it's not even a question. Like, this is what I've been saying, guys. This is what I've been saying, and European liberals have been laughing at me and yelling at me over. Okay. It has finally gotten to a point where Donald Trump is literally doing like Vladimir Putin from the Western flank, that Europeans are like, wait a minute, actually, this is not good at all. This is very, very bad. I didn't realize this.
From Russia, from some other area, we would get dragged in. So better now, peace through strength, make it part of the United States, and there will not be a conflict.
The U.S. already operates a military base in Greenland, and a long-standing treaty allows the U.S. to expand its military presence on the island.
The only security threat to Greenland right now is the United States.
Even some Republicans fear the president is putting the nation's most important alliance in jeopardy.
If he wants to purchase Greenland, that's one thing. But for him to militarily invade would turn Article 5 of NATO on its very head and, in essence, put us at war with NATO itself.
Like, listen, I'm in a very weird position here because on the one hand, I do want America to greatly scale back its mechanism of control and dominance around the world. And NATO plays a formative role here. So Trump blowing up NATO to a certain degree, I hope will push Europe to demand sovereignty, right? I really, really want that to happen because I think that it will be objectively better for the world if Europe had a level of sovereignty from, American dominance. It would, at the very least, make things easier for socialist movements to grow in European countries in the same way that I hope a socialist movement can grow in the United States of America and has been growing at least to a certain degree. Okay? But if you are in any way, shape, or form invested in like American hegemony around the world, then the NATO Atlanticists are right. They're just right. I'm not invested in that at all. I think that's been a cancerous entity in general. It's been a cancerous alliance that has greatly allowed America to do whatever it wants and kill so many people, kill countless people, right? And has ripped away the opportunity for Europe to develop its own, like maybe reformist, democratic, socialist movements, right? Who knows what that would have looked like in the absence of NATO? But for me, this puts me in a unique predicament because on the one hand, he's killing NATO, even though I don't think he will, because that seems like it just doesn't seem to be in America's interest at all. Like it would ruin the military-industrial complex. Like it comes with a lot of penalties for American capital owners. So unless he has his own guys that believe that they can make money regardless, I don't know. But killing soft power was also stupid because soft power plays a role in continuing these alignments as like security cooperations rather than military invasions. So he did that already. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. But then again, if you recall, last time I got a prediction very wrong, it was with Vladimir Putin. And why did I get that prediction very wrong? Now, of course, my haters will say it's because I'm a Putinist or a Duginist or whatever the right? But the reason why I got that prediction wrong was because it was not a sound move by Vladimir Putin. Okay? Just like Donald Trump's invasion of Venezuela, which, let's say is a special military operation because he hasn't like fully committed to an invasion yet, even though the carriers and the strike teams are still surrounding Venezuela. But like what he's doing in Venezuela is just insane. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Because if foreign policy is uniparty, whether it's a Democrat doing it or whether it's a Republican doing it, right? And the goal overall is to project power around the globe and be the domineering force, the hegemonic superpower. And that is usually what the goal is for both Republicans and Democrats to continue that process. The NATO Atlanticists are right in the way that they have designed the system, whether it be U.S. aid and soft power initiatives, destabilizing countries, utilizing these like civil society organizations and NGOs, sanctions to cripple the economy and the really cause a ruckus and destabilization in these places, only to then have your own guys on the ground due to all of the soft power initiatives that you already implemented, go up and take up arms and do a revolution, right? Like there's a reason why it's not working in a place like Iran, because Iran is like so shut off from the rest of the world that it's much more difficult to activate people on the ground. And I don't know. I don't know what Donald Trump is doing here. I don't know what Donald Trump is doing as far as like entertaining the invasion of Greenland, because it just completely rips apart the NATO alliance. Or I guess for him, in his mind, this will solidify to all of the American allies of Europe that America's the big dog and you have no sovereignty. Where will that go? I don't know. But one thing I have seen, and if you recall, during Liberation Day, one of the things that I talked about was the xenophobia and the anti-communist sentiment that European leaders have, right? And how I said this is the reason why they have a lot of resistance to aligning with China in any way, shape, or form, even though China, right now in this day and age, is the manufacturing hub of the planet with an economy that is geared around consistently manufacturing products for everybody else, wants to maintain global trade stability as opposed to the United States of America that is like very clearly breaking it apart, so that these guys are supposed to align with China or at least leverage their relationship with China to tell America that they need to stand down. But the only restraint there was the fact that they're terrified of communism and they're terrified of China. Donald Trump is so unstable that it has caused European vassal state leaders to maybe reconsider that relationship now. It certainly caused Mark Carney to do so, right? Mark Carney going to China and normalizing relations with China and opening up new avenues of trade with China is Mark Carney seeing the writing on the wall, okay? The question now is whether European leaders will also recognize that. But I suspect that he thinks it's... I suspect that Donald Trump thinks this is a game of chicken. He is, in some ways, not a very complex man, especially when it comes to trade and when it comes to like deal making in general. He is very simple and he's very like simple-minded, right? He's like, America's the greatest superpower on the planet, 800 military bases that we know of, all these aircraft carriers. We can be anywhere all at once. We can dominate whoever the fuck we want. So might makes right, and I will just entertain this game of chicken against my allies over and over again, and they'll give in. So we'll see. We shall see if this game of chicken works. Here is defense editor of The Economist with a similar assessment. Right now, a real risk of spiral. Europeans who are already using unprecedented language, blackmail, intimidation, threat, refuse to back down or push back with retaliatory tariffs. U.S. then expands coercion from tariffs to security. Could start by suspending weapon sales for Ukraine and halting intel sharing again. Then step up to actions directly hurting NATO, such as withdrawing select forces from Europe. The admin believes it has escalation dominance and that Europe will fold. See Besson interview yesterday where he gloated over European dependency and risk of Ukrainian collapse. Then there's also some in the admin who believes a step back from NATO would be healthy and desirable. Easily the most serious crisis in the transatlantic relationship in either Trump's two terms, perhaps since Suez. Do you see? I think they're playing chicken, and their gamble here, their bet here is that Europe backs away. That Europe says, yes, you can do whatever you want. You can take Greenland. Do you see? But what does that mean? Like, if Europe allows America to take Greenland, then America takes Canada. Okay? At least, I don't know. I feel like if Europe is like, okay, you can take Greenland, it, then yeah, okay, Canada's next. You know what I mean? Maybe the UK is next. Like, I don't know. I don't know anymore, right? The last NATO defender was right. Dog, what I'm trying to explain to you is that NATO robbed Europe of its sovereignty. This was a concept that at least like Charles de Gaulle understood, right? And other European leaders understood initially. NATO robbed Europe of its sovereignty by really leaning into the anti-communist fears. And now Europe needs to make its own security agreement separate from America, because now Donald Trump is doing what Europeans were fearful that the USSR was going to do to Europe. If the whole purpose of NATO is to lean into the anti-communist Red Scare fears, fears that the USSR will overtake and, move their tanks all the way into Berlin and, move past it and go to France and go to England and like take over and make the, greatly expand the Soviet states, right? If that's the fear that Europe had, well, okay, now we're making it the United States. Instead of the Soviet states from your eastern flank, now you have to, for the first time ever, sincerely worry about the United States from your western flank. Yeah, we're scared of the wrong red. You guys can take the UK. Literally, no one would complain. Take France with it, please. Look, there's still people doing this. Do you know what the USSR did to all post-Soviet countries? Of course, we like NATO. It's not communism versus capitalism. It's having your whole family sent to the gulag. When I hear stuff like this, okay, of people still relitigating the USSR, okay, in 2026, as we are mere seconds away from America overtaking Greenland by force, it kind of makes me feel like you deserve what's coming next, okay? like I don't know what to tell you. Like you're still worried about the wrong red, brother. That red don't exist no more. Like you're worried about your wrong flank. Lock in. It's crazy to me. Joe Biden might live long enough to see NATO disappear. I mean, I guess, yeah, and not a lashing, as you would expect. Keir Starmer.
Events are moving fast. And in moments like this, what matters most is being clear about the values and the interests that guide us, even as circumstances change. The United Kingdom has a long history. Our values were not improvised. They were built patiently over time. And while we are pragmatic in how we pursue our interests, we are resolute in defending those values when it matters. So let me begin with the United States. The UK and the US are close allies and close partners. That relationship matters profoundly, not just to our security, but to the prosperity and the stability that people here depend upon. Under President Trump, as under previous presidents, we're determined to keep that relationship strong, constructive, and focused on results. And that approach is delivering. Through sustained engagement, we've seen significant US investment into the UK economy, running into hundreds of billions of pounds, supporting growth, skills, and jobs right across the country. Our cooperation on defence, nuclear capability, and intelligence remains as close and effective as anywhere in the world.
I like that he spends most of the time talking about how awesome it is to be a vassal state for America. He's literally just mapping out exactly why America is going to do whatever it wants to, and there's nothing we can do about it. Like, he's even giving the reasoning behind why America's behaving like this. How can you read this as anything but just complete submission? It's just complete submission, dude. Incredible stuff. Oh, we have a long-standing and crucial partnership with America. You know, they control our nuclear arms. We have no power here. And obviously, as climate change worsens, new trade routes will open up by way of Greenland, and we can't have anybody but America control that.
Be set aside because it goes to the heart of how stable and trusted international cooperation works.
I'm going to be honest with you. If Donald Trump talked the way he was talking about Greenland, but about the UK instead, I think Keir Starmer would have a similar attitude. Like, I think if Donald Trump was like, yep, UK, you're next. I'm taking it by force. It's mine now. I mean, we're basically all, I mean, come on. This is a nation of British people that came here a long time ago. It's mine now. It's ours. Keir Starmer would come out and be like, long-standing security partnerships were merged over mutually agreed results. And as the Prime Minister of the UK, our relationship matters profoundly. And for that reason, I'm saying, yes, we will be a complete vassalized state. We will be a part of the United States of America.
And so any decision about the future status of Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone. That right is fundamental, and we support it. Denmark is a close ally of the United Kingdom and of the United States, a proud NATO member that has stood shoulder to shoulder with us, including at real human cost in recent decades. Alliances endure because they're built on respect and partnership.
Okay, level 2 hype train. Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. It would be kind of like Taiwan taking China. No, it wouldn't be kind of like Taiwan taking China, because the KMT, like, escaping to Taiwan, the island of Formosa at the time, is much it's a much more recent phenomena than American prisoners being shipped off or British prisoners being shipped off to America to create a settler colony. It's been a long time since these were like well-established, firmly defined national boundaries, and also a successful revolutionary war took place in the United States of America.
Not pressure. That is why I said the use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong.
Why does every analogy have to be about China, North Korea, and Russia? This is just like North Korea when talking about something the U.S. is doing right now. I know. Because we're American. Pet Kaya, or I'm unsubbing. Kaya, come here. Come here, lady. Come here, lady. Come here. Come here. Here, come here. There you go. Don't unsub. Kaya. Okay, come. Oh, God. She plays with all these other dogs at the gym, and they bite the shit out of her. So her neck, like her entire neck, the fur is all crumpled up with dog saliva. You can't really see from the camera, but it's all like dog saliva. Like it looks like she's got like slicked back hair around her ears and around her neck. All the dog drool. What's up? What are you smelling? What's up here? Anything of interest? What about this? What about this? Go get it.
Is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance, nor is it helpful to frame efforts to strengthen Greenland's security as a justification for economic pressure.
Is that toy BDS?
Such measures hurt British workers, British businesses,
it's Bark
and the
brand.
British economy. And that is why I've been so clear on this issue. A trade war is in no one's interest. And my job is always to act in the UK's national interest. That is why yesterday I spoke to President Trump, to European leaders, and to the Secretary General of NATO.
And you told him you have full confidence that he will do the right thing, right?
To find a solution rooted in partnership.
Bark brand is BDS. IDF uses Bark brand as chew toys for IDF soldiers, ... Sweetie, after a long day of killing children, they have to release their stress. And everybody knows it's Bark brand chew toys that the IDF soldiers use to release their stress.
Facts and mutual respect, because that is how strong alliances protect shared interests. The same is true on other issues. In the Middle East, we welcome President Trump's focus on sustaining the ceasefire in Gaza and moving on to phase 2. We are open to participating constructively in such efforts. On Ukraine, I can be brief. We strongly support efforts to bring the killing to an end and secure a ceasefire as soon as possible. We recognise President Trump's role in pushing that process forward. And we will work closely with the United States, Ukraine, and our other allies to apply pressure where it belongs on Putin. Finally, let me say why all this matters so directly to people here at home. In today's world, geopolitics is not something that happens somewhere else. It shapes the cost of energy, the price of food, the security of jobs, and the stability that families rely on to plan their lives. When war drives up fuel prices, it's households who feel it first. When supply chains fracture, it's small businesses and working people who absorb the shock. And when instability grows, it's rarely those with the most power who pay the price. That is why this government's approach is rooted in a simple belief that we must use every tool of government, domestic and international, to fight for the interests of ordinary people. At home, that means active government. It means taking responsibility for economic stability so that inflation is controlled, interest rates come down, and family budgets are protected. It means stepping in where markets fail, strengthening resilience, and ensuring that global shocks do not always land on the same people in the same places, the people least able to withstand them. That's why we've taken action to reduce energy bills, to freeze rail fares and prescription charges. But tackling the cost of living today also means engagement beyond our borders. It requires shaping the world around us, not retreating from it. It requires strong alliances, steady diplomacy, and rules that reduce uncertainty rather than amplify it. That is why our commitment to international law and to alliances founded on trust is not abstract or ideological.
Oh my God, I can't.
Prime Minister, many people watching this at home will have been shocked and angry over the weekend.
They ruled the seas once. 13 colonies, bro. Hold this L. 13 colonies. Think about that. The sun never sets on the British Empire. Well, it surely feels like the sun has set now, doesn't it? It's just, it's crazy to see. What a sight to behold.
So-called closest ally is threatening us if we try to stop him illegally annexing Greenland. Is this the most serious crisis in the transatlantic relationship in decades? And how can the US remain our closest ally when it's bullying us like this? And just on tariffs, you say they are completely wrong and it will hurt the British economy. But if Trump does go ahead, to be clear, are you telling the British people that we will have to take that economic pain? And are you planning retaliatory tariffs if that happens?
Thank you, Beth. And firstly, to underscore your point, this has been very badly received across the United Kingdom.
Yes, that's precisely what he's saying, Chatter. I just don't get how he is just a dumbass lip hypocrite. Sounds like he's saying we like what Trump's doing over here, but we don't support his actions over there. I mean, yeah, he's saying, Trump, you were doing great when you were up Venezuela or whoever the you want to destroy, but why are you doing that to Europe? Also, I will roll over and die for you, sir. That's it. That's at the heart of like the international, liberal international order. That's what it is. Trump is treating European allies. Trump is treating European allies like he treats any other country.
We're allies of the United States. And we work closely with them, and therefore I'm not surprised by the reaction that's been across the United Kingdom, and it is a very serious situation. Our job is to ensure that we find a way forward.
It's not hypocrisy, it's capitalism, says Jason Hickel, one of my favorite posters on this website, professor at ICTA UAB, and visiting senior fellow at London School of Economics. Not Jackson Hinkle, Jason Hickel. Unfortunate naming similarity there. The bizarre behavior of the Western states and leaders often seems to betray a moral double standard. He says it's not hypocrisy, it's capitalism. But in fact, it's all perfectly consistent with a single standard, namely the objective of maintaining the conditions for capital accumulation in the core. On Iran, they tell us to support the protesters, but of course they violently brutalize the protesters at home and never support protests against the governments of their own often brutal client states. They say support women's rights, but of course they actively support a genocidal regime that has massacred tens of thousands of women, live streamed to our screens. They say they want to see freedom and democracy, but of course they prop up several repressive dictatorships in the Middle East. They say value international law, but they violate it regularly in spectacular fashion as easily as they breathe. They say they want to see liberation, but their explicit objective is to impose a puppet monarchy with zero real sovereignty, permanently subordinated to the United States and Israel. Why? Because they want to maintain the conditions for capital accumulation in the core. This requires a massive flow of cheap labor and resources from the periphery. To keep it going, they do everything possible to crush any state or movement that seeks real sovereignty, because sovereign development in the South means that the South produces and consumes more for itself, so their resources and labor are less cheaply available for accumulation in the core. This is why they're going after Iran. It's the same reason why they're going after Venezuela and Cuba. It's the same reason they fantasize going to war with China. It's the same reason they invaded Libya and Iraq. The real reason, like one of the best examples of this is with China, because if you listen to like old like World Bank style analysts and the way that they have presented capitalism, the Steven Pinkers of the world, like all these academics who talk about the bounties that capitalism has delivered. And I don't mean like the bounties that capitalism has delivered that, you know, Karl Marx has acknowledged as well. I'm talking about like modern capitalism, what Some may even consider late stage capitalism and how it's actually good, right? What do they always say? Capitalism has created a global economy that, by way of these trade partnerships and trade negotiations, has actually greatly uplifted the masses in the global south. These countries that were under previous formations destroyed through colonial plunder have been able to uplift themselves, have been able to modernize, have been able to develop. Now, of course, that development has been stagnant in the periphery as opposed to the imperial core, right? Why is the ACP guy making sense? This is not the ACP guy. This is an actual professor. Oh my God. They just have similar names. China is the one example of a country in the periphery that has been able to take on foreign capital, and by way of implementing a transitional socialist state, redistribute the productive output or all the material gains that they got from said productive output back to improving the material conditions of its population. This is why China is the number one enemy. It's because they were unironically able to have sovereignty, and on top of said sovereignty, they were unironically able to develop their own economy, develop their own country to a degree where it is competitive with the largest superpower on the planet, the United States of America. So in theory, capitalism, global capitalism has been able to, lift people out of horrible, extreme poverty conditions. And the one place where it did happen, they will never let it go. They will never let it go. They will never stop in their efforts to dominate every country that has been able to actually uplift themselves through this process of global partnership, like global trade. They don't want any other country to also turn into China. That's the biggest fear for Western capitalists. Is Vietnam similar? Yes, Vietnam is also similar to a certain degree. It's the same reason why they invaded Libya and Iraq. It's the same reason why they assassinated Lumumba and Sankara. It's the same reason they prop up Saudi Arabia and the UAE. It's the same reason why they support Israel's genocide. The narrative of double standards presupposes that they have at least some shred of morality, but they do not. For them, there is but one standard, the law of capital. And in the interest of this standard, they will very gladly spit on every human value. They will not shrink from genociding civilians by the tens of thousands, peasants and workers and children. They will not flinch at killing 500,000 people each year with illegal sanctions. They will rape the earth and doom our collective future without a qualm. It is fruitless to appeal to capital, to imperialism in moral terms. The objective is to defeat it. Libertarian guy chimes in, says, only an idiot thinks any of that has anything to do with capitalism. It's nothing but pure statism. But that's it. It's true. I like to still utilize the hypocrisy argument for a lot of liberals because I want to snap them out of this, this concept that they have believed exists. Okay. That's the reason why I say it's hypocrisy, or I use hypocrisy, but hypocrisy is the marketing technique that I'm applying here. But ultimately, yes, this is the grand design. This is what happens when capital remains unchecked, especially when there is no other state power or no other great power out there that has an alternative vision, especially when that other world power, the USSR at least, no longer exists. And therefore, American capital and Western capital can go unchecked. What you have experienced since the 90s is a byproduct of capitalism winning and going unopposed. Because capitalism won, and because there were no other alternatives out there, no other great powers out there that were trying to defy the order of international capital, we decided to destroy ourselves in the process. I was born in 2001. I didn't get the fun part. I mean, one could say there's never really been a fun part, but that's it. That's why all these guys are like playing this song and dance, trying to make it seem like there is a liberal international order, as Donald Trump is basically destroying all of the propaganda around that sort of thing by just saying the quiet part out loud over and over and over again. Because in practice, what Donald Trump is doing is not all that dissimilar from the relationship that we've had with Europe in the aftermath of World War II,
consistent with our principles and our values, and consistent with our national interest. And the US remains a close ally on defence, on security, and on intelligence, on nuclear capability. We work very closely with the United States, and we must never lose sight of our national interest in that. But we must stand up for our values. We must be clear about the principles that we are applying here, and will continue to do so. On the question of tariffs,
that's why I keep reiterating that, like, a lot of these Western leaders, like, sure, they're cucked to America, but first and foremost, they are cucked to their own version of you know, whatever their own representatives of, like, international capital looks like in their own countries. They're cucked to capitalism, and America is still the great defender of capitalism around the globe. It is the nation state that keeps this entire global design together. So, as the country that is responsible for the upkeep of global capitalism, they get to have all the benefits. If they want to take over the UK, then they can do so. And Starmer will roll over because there is no real sovereignty in any of these countries. These guys are all representatives of the exact same forces, the forces of capital.
Therefore, isn't in anybody's interests. And therefore, what I want to do is to avoid a tariff war, because it will be businesses, workers and families across the country that will be hit by a trade war. And therefore, I will do as I've set out, which is to engage with our European allies, with President Trump. And Chris, in response to the second part of your question, I spoke to President Trump yesterday, as I think you all know, and I'll no doubt speak to him again in coming days. Continually, our offices talk all the time, but we must find a pragmatic, sensible, sustained way through this that avoids some of the consequences that will be very serious for our country. Thank you very much, Beth.
So let me just put this to you bluntly. Is Greenland or NATO more essential to the United States national security?
Well, Chris, that's obviously a false choice. That's a
not from the perspective of European leaders.
The European leaders will come around and they will
Yeah, he's saying they're dogs. They'll roll over and let us do whatever we want to do.
Understand that they need to be under the U.S. security.
By the way, this is the first person in, like, Trump's orbit outside of Trump that has actually said, you know, openly that our goal here is to play chicken, and we know they will give in before we have to.
What would happen in Ukraine that if the U.S. pulled its support out? The whole thing would collapse. That the U.S., Kristen, to be clear, since 1980, the U.S. has spent U.S. military spending versus NATO military spending. We have spent $22 trillion more dollars than the Europeans have. That we are peace through strength. And the Europeans now are only trying to play catch up. And that is only through President Trump. President Trump believes in NATO, but he does not believe in the American people being dragged in.
Well, in terms of the cost.
Can you confirm that the president's letter to Norway and then the EU might be preparing retaliatory measures over Greenland? Are you concerned about what that could mean?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the president's letter to Norway, and I think it's complete canard that the president will be doing this because of the Nobel Prize. The president is looking at Greenland as a strategic asset for the United States. We are not going to outsource.
I mean, Trump said it. Like I know that's not the main reason, but it's Trump himself said that. Okay, like, oh, sure, you guys are making it up again. My president is not so stupid and childish that he would send a stupid and childish message like that to the Norwegian leadership. Oh, he did do. Okay, well then it's good. He was projecting force once again. Norway needs to clean up its act. It's looking all oiled up over there. We're calling it White Venezuela. Do with that information what you will.
Our hemispheric security to anyone else.
I think that'll probably be the last one for today, guys.
How concerned about retaliation? We got the Europeans this question last week.
I think it would be very unwise. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
So Keir Starmer hitting back at President Trump's threats to impose tariffs on the UK and 7 other European countries in the ongoing row over the future of Greenland.
Yeah, we know it was real because after the Norwegian prime minister pointed to him that the Norwegian government doesn't control the Nobel Committee, Trump said that he's lying. We already own Greenland in all but name. That's what European leaders keep saying over and over, but they keep begging Trump to let them maintain face. Trump is telling them he doesn't care about their self-respect. Give over the island. Exactly. That is precisely what's going on. Trump wants to humiliate the European continent. I don't know for what reason. I don't understand it, which is why I'm saying who knows what the purpose is here. But that's what it is. Also, I went viral in China. Jealous. What you consider to be viral in China is a regular afternoon for me, okay? Michael from Pennsylvania, not Michael from Beijing, not Michael from Chongqing. Michael from Pennsylvania. Here you are, never blessed by Chinese soil, okay? Just saying. You might go viral in China, but at least I've been to China. And we'll be going back soon. Okay, Hong Kong Hossie. I only went there to see what the one-party, two-systems design looked like. And it's clear to me that unification is an absolute necessity. Full-blown unification. Supporter of the second system, disgusting? Never. This is ridiculous. Never.
Greenland. Well, let's bring in our security.
Also, you're hating from the outside, okay? You're not in the club, okay? You're not in the has been to China club.
I hope that there soon will be some more clever people in the States who will tell him, no, it's not going to work, this thing. You have to retire in some way or another, and then to make it successfully for you too. But I think he has lost his mind a month ago.
It's a bit like a spoiled child turned old. And
this never gets old for me. I'm sorry. Watching Greenlanders try to make sense of American maneuvering here is like crack cocaine. It's just funny seeing like reasonable human beings that are products of a decent education system look to what kind of insanity we have going on for whatever our version of the government is, and they're like, this is madness. Like, the f are these guys thinking?
I think he can, and he can think he can scare people. He can't scare Greenlanders. We're not scared. We'll fight him to the end, and we will never give in. And we are so happy we have so good allies.
I cannot really imagine that he can have Greenland, and he can put pressure on, yes, but I hope really he wouldn't succeed in it. But we don't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows, no. But we have a lot of allies, and now they are stepping up.
I hope that the American...
Teaching Greenlanders about Laura Loomer and the influence she holds over the American government is the equivalent of giving hot Cheetos to a medieval peasant child. Okay? It would one-shot them. It would literally stun them. Like, they would be like, it would dramatically alter their brain chemistry. Their lives would be ruined. But can you imagine showing Greenlanders like American things? All these journalists are out there. They should do that. They should have a picture of Laura Loomer looking like Jigsaw to be like, hey, the president called this lady a free spirit. She's famous for trying to start an ISIS fan club in her college and then being expelled, chaining herself to at least one of the two doors at Twitter headquarters because she was banned, with a gold Star of David on her chest because she was making a Holocaust comparison, her being banned off Twitter. She was an advisor to the administration and has been able to make policy changes in the current American government. If you were to explain that to like the average Greenlander, they would just die on the spot, I assume.
And people as well get their eyes opened to see this is not a good way to treat.
As a Canadian, I can now go to China visa-free, so really I'm winning here, Lamau. Brother, I don't think you understand. If Donald Trump takes Greenland, Canada is next, okay? Like, I don't think you get what's coming, dude. This is crazy. Wait, he said she's a free spirit again?
I'd like to invest in the United States $2 trillion. It's a lot of money. And then I went to Qatar, $2 trillion. And I went to the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed, $2 trillion. So we took in $6 trillion. That's why we have 18, because we got 6 from 3 countries. That helps, right? Laura, is that right? Hi, Laura. Boy, you are something. What spirit you have. Laura Loomer, thank you, honey, for being here. I appreciate it. She's, she can be a little nasty, but to me, she's always nice. So that's all that matters. I want her to stay that way, too. But I was over there, and he looked at me. The kid gave us, I'd like to invest.
What the? Bro, they're Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Blowing bubbles on it for sure. God, what a frisbee bear she is. She could be a little nasty, but not to me. I like when she gets nasty to me. Ooh, when you start gargling on it, when you start blowing bubbles on it, I like it quite a bit. It's nasty. I say nasty girl.
Defence analyst Professor Michael Clark, who joins us. And Michael, Donald Trump saying you must have Greenland for security. That's the word that keeps coming up. In fairness, Sir Keir Starmer talked about security as well, but national security.
Well, that's enough Hasanabi for today.
You've got the United States, which isn't actually the closest neighbour to Greenland. That's probably Iceland and Canada.
Technocratic fascists that may or may not have been working at the behest of a foreign nation. So much so that Kamala Harris and her campaign had to vet him and ask him if he was ever an agent of Israel. Okay? Mr. I volunteered for the IDF and then did a brief stint with the Israeli government as I was working for the Israeli, the Israeli embassy or something. Also, he covered up a murder. My governor kills the homeless personally. Your governor covers up when his friends or his family friends end up murdering someone. We are not the same.
There are 47.
But Mike lives in LA now too. It doesn't matter. His heart and spirit is still in Pennsylvania.
Installations in Canada and 15 radar installations there in Alaska, where the United States label is. That's Alaska. There is one in Fylingdales in Yorkshire.
Hey guys. Hey, Canadians in the chat. You notice something? You notice something? What do you see here from this angle? What's going on here? You think? If those trade routes must be controlled by America, who is stuck, who is sandwiched between the United States of America, more United States of America, and supposed to be more United States of America? Who is right there? Who is right there sandwiched in between? Don't show Trump. I'm not kidding. I think it's a staging ground. I already said I'm going to die fighting invading American troops. What the fuck more do you want from a Canadian man? Is cooked because you have Albertans in your country, okay? They are betrayers. They will betray you. They are going to, imagine the entire country is run by Albertans, dude, because that's what's going to happen. The Albertan cessationists will welcome America as liberators, okay? Quebec is way worse. They already betrayed. They are French. No, you will be singing a very different tune when the Quebec separatist movement is one of the only significant insurgency forces that America will meet. Are you kidding me? Dude, the Quebecois don't even want to be controlled by Canadian Anglophones. If anything, they will literally do terrorism like you've never seen before if it's American Anglophones that control Quebec. There will be a real guerrilla force in Quebec that will fight. That will be probably the most significant insurgency that the American military has to deal with. Also, full support to Bloc Québécois, the Quebec separatists in their war against America. Man, stop talking about this. You're literally going to manifest it. I mean, look at the map. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at the map. Trump is a very dumb guy. He sees a map like this. He's going to be like, well, we might as well take care of this other territory in between. You know what I mean?
In Britain, just slightly off the map there. And there it is. I mean, that makes up what's called a BMUS, which is the ballistic missile early warning system, and it's a mixture of short range and long range radars. Entirely sensible. So that could be built up on Greenland if the Americans thought they wanted more than one base there. And the chances are they will do over time as technology changes. They may want more bases. They can have all of that within the 1951 agreement that they've got with Denmark. The second way in which security is an issue is that Russian and Chinese ships are buzzing around because they're interested in the opening Northwest Passage. Most of that map, remember, is ice. It looks as if it's all sea there, but actually most of it is ice. And within the Arctic Circle, a lot of it is dark for 12 hours and dark all day for 6 months and light all day for 6 months, right on the North Pole. But that varies a little bit around the Arctic Circle. But long periods of darkness, long periods of constant light. And there is interest in the opening of the Northwest Passage because global warming is creating this.
Everyone here that was pretending Trump was being Trump has gone silent. Trust me, we are well aware this NATO support for Greenland is crucial. NATO itself is the reason why America can kind of do this, by the way,
And
but
the United
that's a different
States has only
conversation.
really woken up to it very recently.
You need sovereignty instantly, okay? And that sovereignty comes at the barrel of a gun. And for states, what I mean when I say the barrel of a gun is nuclear arms. What's the one state that you will rely on for sovereignty? France, okay? At the barrel of a nuke.
Nordics, Denmark,
UK's
Norway,
nukes don't
Sweden, they've been
count.
talking about it for years. We've been talking about it in Britain for years. America wasn't interested until recently. And then the third way in which got...
If America annexes Canada, UK will literally voluntarily relinquish control over their own country. Like, America annexes Canada, UK, under the helmsmanship of elderly statesman Keir Starmer, will say, well, sir, you might as well take us too. I mean, come on, we're part of this. We're like a package deal, right? I mean, yeah, folding under zero pressure, UK.
Lesson seemed to imply, and Miller seemed to imply, is that some sort of invasion from Russia or China.
Zoran
towards Greenland.
Swan.
Well, they'd have to invade across, basically.
Thank you for the
across
25.
North
Get the
Pole.
subs.
Anyone who thinks that's feasible ought to look again at a map. It's not possible. So there is a security argument. NATO needs to do something as a whole with the naval challenge, and the ballistic missile challenge is the same as...
I like that these guys are talking like they have a say. It's cool. They're talking like they have any sovereignty. Like they're still like, well, NATO will be a very important security cooperative agreement here, and it's a very important alignment. It's like, yeah, dude, no, totally. Yeah, you're so right. Okay, well, Denmark is a NATO ally. You could set up as many military bases as you want in Greenland without taking it. So why won't you do that? Why is Donald Trump saying, no, we're going to move beyond that, actually. We're taking it. We're seizing it. Oh, yeah, we'll have a say in this. Yes, we'll have a say in this. You won't have a say in this until you actually do have a say. You won't have a say in this until you say something beyond, why, yes, sir. Well, I mean, it would be terrible if you were to take it by force. I don't like it.
Really hard to do justice to the weather conditions in a video, but I've got my warmest polar mitts on. I've got 4 layers of trousers on here. And if you look out to sea, you can see the winds brought in icebergs onto the coast here. It's whipping the snow up here. We're the only ones standing around on this hill. It's -9 degrees Celsius, about 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's going to get colder. The conditions in Nuuk in Greenland are harsh, to say the least. Denmark reinforcing its troops 200 miles north of here. That's inside the Arctic Circle. They are going to be facing some really extreme weather up here.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is en route to Switzerland this morning. He's heading to Davos, where he'll take part in the World Economic Forum. It is the 3rd stop on an international trip to shore up global trade ties and move Canada's economy away from the United States.
Shared via PowerPoint on Android? What the is this? Preferred response to U.S. invasion. If Canada were ever to face a situation in which the United States used military force against Canadian territory, what do you believe should be Canada's primary response? Avoid military confrontation and make concessions to prevent further harm? Okay, I'm actually shocked that Bloc Québécois is at 31%. What happened? I thought guys, am I crazy? I thought the more conservative you are, the more patriotic you are, and the more you would want to defend your land, the more you would want to defend your sovereignty. And it kind of feels like the more patriotic you are, quote unquote, the more right-wing you are, the more you're willing to relinquish control. The plurality of conservatives want to avoid military confrontation and make concessions to prevent further harm. How is that possible? How is that possible? It's crazy. It turns out, I guess if the previous new design of the world was the nation state, the invention of the nation state, and nationalism for previous victims of colonialism and imperialism was somewhat, was like a leftist ideology for many of these countries, because it was about like fighting to gain national sovereignty. Nowadays, whenever someone says that they're a nationalist or a right-winger, That just means they want America to come over and take over the country. It turns out the real patriotism actually was coming from the libtards and the NDP. Look at that. Look at that. The only party that has plurality pro-America come for us is the Conservative Party in Canada. That is crazy.
Ain't nobody gonna tread on me.
Oh, tread on me. Oh, tread on me. It's illegal for the government to ask you for papers or come into your house. Come into my house. Oh, come into my house. Here are my papers. Oh, my papers are right here.
Ain't nobody.
Oh, that's funny. God, dude. Oh, the small c conservative is actually small c for cuck. Yeah, that's what it stands for. You're right, chatter. Please. No, this isn't even don't just tread on me. This is literally tread on me, please. I'm waiting for you to tread on me. I would love the taste of boot in my mouth every morning. That's why I say, like, at least with American conservatives, like, they're stupid. They are the American conservatives think that when America projects power around the globe, like they see the benefits of it, they don't, right? But if you're a Canadian conservative and you're like, America, project your power on me, you are a different level of cuck. It doesn't make any sense. It's the same principle behind like some of the Australian guys in the chat or some of the European MAGA guys who are like, yeah, it's awesome that America's like dominating the globe or whatever. At least Asmongold's European MAGA supporters are like mad about the Greenland thing. Like, what the
Wonderful. Prime Minister Carney left Doha earlier this morning. He announced yesterday that Qatar has committed to invest in major building projects in Canada. Carney will be meeting next in Davos with leaders from around the world, and that will likely include European NATO allies. They'll be holding talks amid rising threats over Greenland from U.S. President Donald Trump. CBC News has confirmed that the Prime Minister is thinking about sending soldiers to Greenland for NATO military exercises. Ashley Burke is traveling with the Prime Minister. She has all the details this morning.
The Prime Minister is leaving Qatar today and headed to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum that Donald Trump is also expected to attend. Yesterday, Carney warned that he's worried about Trump's latest threat to hit European allies if they resist his takeover of Greenland. Now, 2 Canadian officials confirmed to CBC News that Mark Carney is weighing contingency plans to send a small group of soldiers to Greenland for exercises with NATO allies. But when asked yesterday at a press conference here in Doha, Carney wouldn't say if he's sending troops.
It's a serious situation, and we're concerned. We're concerned about this escalation, to be absolutely clear. We always will support sovereignty and territorial integrity of countries wherever their geographic location is.
Carney was also careful not to directly name or criticize Trump. Canadian officials say that the contingency plans were drawn up and presented to the government last week. A Royal Canadian Air Force contingent is already taking part in pre-planned NORAD exercises in Greenland, but what the Prime Minister is weighing is whether to send more military members to take part in sovereignty exercises the Danes are planning. The officials said that those exercises could include drills to protect Greenland's critical infrastructure, and one option is to fly them there as early as next week. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Doha.
This is the biggest Epstein blowout news coverage ever.
Let me stop.
I mean, again, the actions that you're engaging in cannot like be more destabilizing than the action that you're trying to avoid talking about. Bro, look at the Iranians who want the country to be invaded. I don't think that's the majority position.
You will pet me, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not.